Welcome to this episode of Starting Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2022. I'm your host, Susu, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to buy cards, sell cards, and trade cards, and I promise it's going to be a banger. If this video helps you out at all, I want you to scratch my deck by liking this video and subscribing to the channel, and comment down below if you have any tips for any new or returning players if you are a veteran player watching this video. Okay, so you just started playing Match Duels and now you're curious where you can buy these cards IRL so you can play in real life with real people and real cards. All right, so you have a couple of different options when it comes to buying cards. One of the best ones being TCG Player.com. Now this is like kind of the eBay of trading card games and definitely one of the most safer and most efficient ways to go about buying real cards. Now the website is really easy to navigate and very intuitive, but we're gonna go over how to go from start to finish, like, you know, finding the cards that we want and the rarity and the condition, and then go all the way into checking out those cards and then, you know, having those cards get to you. Okay, so I kind of want to go over this option first before we go over any of the other options, because, you know, realistically speaking, this is kind of the default method to buy cards, but we are going to go over other methods. But first off, let's head over to the other screen so I can show you how to buy some cards off of TCGPlayer.com. All right, guys, so we're finally here over at the PC, and the first thing we're going to do is go to TCGPlayer.com. All right, and I'm going to sign in. All right, so I'm going to sign in here. I'm going to redact all my information, and let's say the card that I really want is Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, right? So I'm going to type in Ash Blossom, and I see that it already comes up as Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. The website is really good. TCG Player, good job. So I'm going to click on this card, and you see that there are multiple copies and multiple rarities of this one card, right? So we're going to decide which card that we want. I feel like balling out a little bit, so I'm going to go for the Maximum Crisis Secret Rare Ash. Now, immediately you'll see that direct by TCG Player is $100, but if you just scroll down a little bit, you can see that there is in fact copies that are cheaper than $100. Now you want to filter out all the copies where it's Korean or damaged, or, you know, Korean Ultimate Rare, because it's not even a secret rare at that point. So we're going to go over to this filter section, and I'm going to teach you the best filters that you can use to get the cards that you want. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click verified seller, which will give us sellers with this gold star. Next, I want a first edition copy. Okay, so I'm going to click first edition, and I want a near mint copy in English. Now, as you can tell, it doesn't get rid of all these Korean cards, but obviously, you know that you generally don't want a Korean card, so you're going to pick the next best one on, and it is $110. So we're going to add this card to my cart, and then we're going to click check out. General rule of thumb, try to check out as you know, few times as possible. Most sellers will have a lot of the cards that you want, so try to check out from the same seller so you do not have to pay for shipping. Generally, if your order is over $5, or if you've, you know, bought in bulk from a seller, the shipping is much cheaper, or most of the time it's free. Okay, next we're gonna go check out, which is really important. I'm gonna redact all my information, obviously, and then I'm gonna click submit order, and then it will submit the order for me. Now, a really cool thing that TCG Player is also good at is, let's say I want Dragon Link cards, right? Anything related to Dragon Link. What I can do is I can just add random, this is not a Dragon Link card, but I'm just trying to show you an example. I'm going to just add a bunch of things to my card, right? I'm just going to add just any card because I'm just trying to show you something pretty interesting, okay? So if I go over to checkout again, you can see that I have multiple different packages and I'm paying for shipping on different ones. But there's something really cool called optimize your cart. So if you click optimize your cart, you can choose in the setting to keep current printings, current conditions, sets, rarities, and sellers, but it will try to give me the cheapest one. So let's say I just want current condition, and let's see if we can optimize the card to see if we can get a new card. So if we do it by here, it'll immediately drop our prices, but that's because we're not keeping current rarities. So obviously it's giving us cards with lower rarities. But every time you use the card optimizer, you keep what you want using the optimizer settings, and then figure out what's best for you. Generally speaking, verified sellers is the way to go, because if you go any seller, these sellers might not be might not have the best track records. Direct buy TCG Player means you get most of your packages in as little of packages as possible, but generally speaking, big rule of thumb is verified sellers. If you need to come back to this portion of the video when you are buying cards, I highly do recommend it. But let's go back over to the back table. All right, so now that we're back at the main table, I do have to kind of give you some of the choices to not buy from these websites. If you're buying single cards, right, or more commonly known as singles in the community, you definitely don't want to be using websites like Amazon or any shady website where the deals are too good to be true. I know I shouldn't need to say this, but I will. If a deal is too good to be true, it probably is. All right, so the next option that you have is to buy cards in person at a local gaming store or from a person that's at the gaming store, okay? So in terms of buying from a local gaming store, the only times I do recommend it, because their prices will be generally the highest out of everyone on this list, is if you want to support your local gaming store. Because in most cases, local gaming stores are very far and few and in between. So if you want them to stay open so you can play Yu-Gi-Oh, sometimes it doesn't hurt to just go and give money to your local gaming store for cards that you may need that day. Now, when you're buying from somebody IRL, this is where things get a little bit tricky. Now, most of the time, the general rule of thumb is you offer 85% of the value of the card on TCGplayer.com. So let's use the same example that we did over at TCGplayer.com, right? This player has an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring that I really want, and we know that it's about $30. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to TCGplayer.com so we can give proof to that person that this is indeed the value, right? So we're going to go to TCGplayer.com, filter by verified seller, filter by the condition and the rarity and the card that we want, and find the lowest price and offer the person 85% of that price. Now, the reason being is when you sell on TCG Player, you do incur about 15% fees that go along with selling a card. And on top of that, you have to pay for postage as well. So because, the person who's right in front of you doesn't have to pay for postage or have to, pay fees or anything, they'll generally get the same amount if they were to sell it on TCGplayer.com. So just to go over it again, the general rule of thumb is 85% of TCG verified lowest value is what you're going to be offering people IRL. And if that person doesn't take it, generally move on. There are hundreds of thousands of people who play this, who play this card game, and some of them will have the cards that you are indeed looking for. All right, so the third option is actually eBay. So eBay does sell Yu-Gi-Oh cards by the singles and by sealed as well. The one downside to eBay is, sometimes people really don't know what they're selling, which is albeit a little bit tricky, but most of the time on TCGplayer.com, when a card is really good, it will get bought out. And generally speaking, eBay is a couple of days behind the TCG prices. So if a card is really expensive on TCGplayer.com, I highly recommend checking on eBay as well, especially with the code on the card itself, because every card has a set code and you're gonna verify and clarify the card via that set code. So generally eBay is a day or two behind on prices compared to TCGplayer.com. So if a card is really expensive over there, you might find it a little bit cheaper on eBay. But generally speaking, there might be some new sellers on eBay that generally don't know how to ship cards, and this goes for TCG Player as well. That's why you look up verified sellers. So even on eBay, every seller has a rating. So if you do want to buy a card that's cheaper on eBay, you can search by high-rated sellers, which I really do recommend. And most of the time, when it comes to TCGplayer.com and eBay customer service, they're both really good because they generally do side with the buyer. Now, big PSA, don't abuse this because especially on TCGplayer.com, you can get blacklisted and you can also get banned from buying from a certain store on eBay as well. All right, so the last two places I'm going to recommend is Facebook groups and Discord groups. Now, if you're buying from a Facebook group, you generally do need an invite to these groups, but even then, because most people will ask you for references and you're not gonna have any because you never bought, sold, or traded there, they're not going to want to really deal business with you. And it is a bit more tricky because when you're dealing with Facebook groups, because it is not, big corporation moderated, you can run into a lot of scammers, and scams generally do end up happening. But if a deal is, again, too good to be true, generally is going to be. Now, we're gonna move on to Discord servers. So Discord servers are a little bit different because especially, and I can only talk from my own Discord server, we are about 6,000 plus members strong, and we do have a big market group in our channel where people buy, sell, and trade cards. Now, we do our best to moderate it, and we do also have a support ticket option that you can open and talk with one of our moderators in real time in that Discord. So when you're dealing in Discord or even Facebook groups, the general rule of thumb is pay with PayPal goods and services. Now, generally, if you go this way, because there's two ways to pay on PayPal. It's goods and services and friends and family. If you pay friends and family, you will never get that money back no matter what happens. You can't even open up a case or an appeal. And if that other person decides to ghost you, you're generally SOL. But if you pay goods and services, you're gonna have to cover the goods and services fee, which is about 3.2%. So if a card is $100, you're gonna pay, the person sending you that card $103.20 to cover the fees. And if you pay goods and services, PayPal will have your back because one, if they don't add tracking or if the tracking says, it never got there, PayPal will give you that money back ASAP. All right, guys, so that's it for today's video of starting Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2022. If this video has helped you out at all, I want you guys to help me out by liking this video and subscribing to the channel and commenting down below if you have any tips or tricks for any new or returning player. I'm gonna be going over these tips myself, so I make sure that I can filter out some of the bad ones and try to see if I can pin a really, really good comment. All right, guys, so I'm gonna catch you in the next episode. Oh, by the way, I also want you to comment down below what topic you want me or Jen to go over next. That's really important. Do that as well. And as always, guys, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment, hit that notification bell to join the squad. And this is Susu from Head to Head Battles, signing out.
What's up, guys? If you haven't subscribed, make sure to click that button right there in the middle.
Also, if you haven't watched that video that YouTube is recommending you, it's probably crazy, all right? Go watch it. This is Susu from Head to Head Battles,
Head to Head Battles,
signing out.